grade 6, you said that?
No.
Yeah, so you were saying, see, we went up there just for you. So you were saying that if the stories are inconsistent, once they swear in, that you think it should be thrown out. Should have no merit, no weight.
Well, I would think the evidence that contradicts or is proven incorrect evidence should be taken out.
Thank you. Anybody else got it? Jeremy, right? See, I remember your name. I don't remember yours, though. Vincent.
Batch 354. I think the burden of being in a jury is to do the best you can with the facts that are provided to discern what is true. People lie. People lie under oath. People lie when they're not under oath. If everybody told the truth, life would be much, much easier. That's not the case. So as a juror, that is the challenge, is to take what evidence is provided, listen to the testimonies, try to understand the situations and the evidence that's been provided through that testimony, and make the correlations the best you can. That's probably the biggest challenge as a juror, is you're not going to know whether or not somebody's telling the truth 100%. You're going to have to go through that process and try to discern the best you can.
So, basically put it on your judgment if they're lying or not. You'll make your decision based on that.
There is potential for, I mean, I have no idea of this situation, but if there were facts that do not line up, there's two things that could happen. It could be a lie, or it could be a misremembering. Depends on when the event happened, what age the person was at that time, what age they are now, the amount of time that have passed. There's a lot of things that go into making that determination that I wouldn't be comfortable saying yes or no at this point. If during the process I could see that there were inconsistencies, and based on the time of the event and the age of the person and the age of the person now and all that coming together, then I would have to make a decision whether or not I thought that those inconsistencies in their stories were based on that length of time, or if they're in fact being dishonest on the stand. It really has to come down to not just a simple quick answer of yes or no, they're lying. You have to look at the big picture of the evidence that's presented.
Very good, Jerry. That's very good.
Jackie Lindy, badge 382. I believe when you uncover that there is a lie, that you have to look at all the other mitigating circumstances surrounding that there are many people, there are people that may lie under oath, and that might not faze them that they're under oath. But I also think that it also comes down to the fact, as a juror, the burden of proof is on the plaintiff, and so that's also a factor.
Tammy Esposito, 437. I think that the question that you're asking, I think as jurors we have to look at this as putting a big puzzle together, and there's all the pieces of the puzzle. And the question that you're asking is just one piece of that puzzle. And so it's very difficult. I loved the answers of both of those jurors, by the way, great answers. But it's a big puzzle, and that one piece is just going to be part the one big puzzle that we have to put together and figure out what it looks like. And to ask a question about one specific part of the case, you have to look at it as a whole. You can't look at it as just a part. And I understand you want the opinion of the jurors as far as what they would do in a particular incident or particular case, but we have to look at the whole picture, not just a piece of the puzzle, and figure out what's going on by looking at the whole thing once the whole thing is presented.
Do you guys think police should be accountable for lies? Held accountable for their lies? Let me hear your opinion on it. Officer Pro Tem. This is a great officer, you guys. He's like the best.
Jackie Lanty, 382. I think we're all citizens and should be accountable for all the things that we do and say, regardless if it's police or enforcement.
Grant Nebeker, 404. Yeah, police should be held accountable just like we are. Not above the law just because they have a badge and a gun.
Right.
So, yeah.
What about somebody who's protected from immunity, like a DA?
I don't know what that means. What do you mean they're protected by immunity?
You know what immunity is?
Yeah, from like Survivor and everything.
So,
Like what they can't be prosecuted for.
yes, certainly.
So,
I can't tell you, but I
Are
can't.
you asking if prosecutors should be held to the same standard of the
Yes.
law?
well, yeah, everybody should be politicians. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The president, who, yeah,
So the president got, speaking of the president,
yeah. Here we go.
well, I have nothing against the president, you guys, I was in the Army, I respect
Need a question?
the office of the United States, trust me. I would never say anything bad about the president. I'm just like, you know.
No.
So, certain people are above the law. Do you think that's good?
Well, I think that's an opinion.
But
But
what-
no, it's not good, but that's an opinion.
What do you think what if it's a fact?
Well, it's not. You could ask everybody in
Well,
here and everybody's gonna have,
hypothetically speaking,
yeah.
if you thought that cop did something wrong,
Yeah,
or falsified, hypothetically speaking, falsified evidence, what do you think you can possibly do? What would you do?
what would I do?
Yes,
I
what would
don't
you
know what I would do, but if somebody's breaking the law, bottom line is if somebody's breaking the law, they need to be held accountable.
But I wanna
Yes, I'm sure people get away with stuff, but
I wanna hear what you
That's
would
not-
do if you found a cop had falsified, hypothetically speaking, falsified evidence and did some unethical things, what would you do?
What would he do?
well, yeah,
I'm asking him.
I work on school buses, so I'm not gonna do anything, but,
You just said, turn that bus around.
you know, yeah. He needs to be held accountable.
What did we do?
That's what I believe happens is,
Who
Let
are we?
him finish, you gotta let him finish his
well,
statements. Go ahead, sir.
there's gotta be accountability, you know, these people were put in office, you know, they're either voted in or they go through a rigorous process. It's not like we just go out there and say, hey, we're gonna, you know, pick you to be in charge of stuff. So it needs to be, there's accountability, there's all kinds of stuff that keep people accountable.
But what I'm trying to get at is, and I want to ask this in a question, and I keep asking it, but you can't find the answer. So hypothetically speaking,
Uh-huh.
you're arrested. You look at the charge of papers, it's all lies. You find, you prove that it's not the truth.
Yeah,
You can prove it. You got evidence that this is not true.
yeah.
It's impossible. But this, who do you go to?
I don't, you get an attorney and you don't defend yourself, I don't know.
Attorney? Like me?
Kind of, so,
I paid $10,000 for an attorney.
well, I don't know,
He did nothing.
yeah.
You know what he did?
No, we're
You're
not
on
doing
vacation.
this. Do you have any more questions?
No, I mean, he brought
No,
up the
I
attorney.
don't care what you brought up. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
There was,
Steve Cole, 369. If my civil rights were violated, I'd get a civil rights attorney. That's what I would do. I wouldn't represent myself.
Jason Gordon, 463. At the end of the day, I'd go to those people, supervisors, I'd go to the press.
You go to the press.
I'd go to the press.
So, keep the mic in his hand. So you would go to the press on the police?
If I needed to, sure.
And you would stay in that town?
Well, if I had absolute proof that they were lying, yeah, I absolutely would go to the press.
So,
In that hypothetical situation, absolutely.
hypothetically speaking, you got a sexual assault charge. You go to the press. Now they put you all over TV.
Well, that is a good chance that's going to be happening anyway. So there's that, but I mean, it obviously depends. But in the hypothetical situation you present, where you have proof that this is impossible, yeah, if I had to, I'd go to the press. But like I said, that wouldn't be my first choice. I'd go up the line, supervisory people above, those officers and individual prosecutors, what have you.
So, let's speak, you know, when you speak of, your answer is great. So when you're speaking of going to the prosecutor because you found something, do you think they would believe you or the police officer?
I think it depends on the nature of the evidence. I mean, like I said, in the hypothetical situation you present, which is that, you know, this evidence demonstrates that it's factually impossible for this to have occurred, then I think I'd be believed. But, like I said, depending on how that evidence works out, I'm not sure.
I like that answer. A couple people was raising their hands.
Okay, in your hypothetical question,
Vincent, do your badge number.
Vincent.
I'm sorry. My name Vincent Mays, my badge number is 436.
Thanks. Go ahead.
Your hypothetical question, the police do something wrong, you could go to the internal affairs who oversee them. And you also could bring that evidence you got to the judge. And you could present it in the court.
Is that true?
She can't answer that. I'm sorry.
So, we're just,
No.
you're asking questions, Mr. Hayes is answering them, Mays is answering them, and that's how it's gonna go. I'm not getting involved.
No, Your Honor, this is your courtroom.
Oh, I know who's talking.
Vince,
Answer that.
Vince, you want your answer?
No.
Okay, let's go, keep going.
Wait.
No, I'm not, I don't answer questions.
Sure.
Let's go.
So to answer your question, it's people you could go to with that evidence.
Mr. Vincent? Tell me
You
the
could-
people I go to.
The cop do something wrong, I'm going to his boss and then to the internal affairs who oversee the police. Then you could take that evidence. You in trial, wait, your first question was, if they your first question was, if they ain't, it's perjury. If he sit up there and lie and you could prove he lied, That's 5 years for him in jail. That's perjury, so that's thrown out. So it is ways to get that evidence in court. The truth gonna come out. Might take you 30 years, but it'll come out.
Should have hired you.
You'll be in jail.
Anybody else?
Did anybody else have an answer to that I missed the hands?
Yeah,
Okay,
right here.
thank you.
If I was in a situation where I was accused,
Sorry, batch number.
That's,
354,
Thank you.
of a crime, and I had indisputable evidence that I didn't do it, and I was brought into court, then I would go to a jury of my peers with the evidence and trust that they would be able to see that the evidence proves that I didn't do it.
so you wouldn't go to a judge or a DA and say, this is proof that this couldn't happen. You wouldn't go to them first before you got to trial.
If I was arrested and there was a pending trial or discussion of it, if I was innocent and I had evidence to prove that, I wouldn't accept probably any less than a trial to exonerate myself by presenting that evidence to a jury of my peers.
Do you think a person should be punished more if they go to trial to fight something?
The simple answer is no. We shouldn't be punished for trying to prove our innocence. We're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, and so there's a due process that we go through, and we shouldn't be punished for taking advantage of our right of due process.
I agree. I 100% agree with you. 100% agree. And I know you're Jeremy, right?
Question.
Next person, yeah.
Just, Camille Jessamy, 313. I just want to circle back to the question you were asking about the police officer, if he lied. Are we saying like he lied on stand, or he's lied in the charges that were brought?
The charges.
Okay, he lied in the charges that were brought against you, and you have evidence to prove
Right.
that those charges are incorrect.
So
Okay.
we're not talking about this case, he's.
Yeah, hypothetically
Hypothetically
speaking.
So hypothetically
Okay,
speaking,
right,
you get the charging papers.
Right.
But you can prove
right.
that the charges are false and it's a lie.
Understood. I just didn't understand
Right.
if hypothetically was the trial started already and he had done it on the stand, or was this before hypothetically a trial had started. Okay, thank you for the clarification. That's what I was trying to understand.
This is Lenithia Harris, 461. I'm assuming that, like all of us, we didn't go to law school, and unless you're in the situation, you probably don't exercise every aspect of it. But I just have a question for you, just to kind of understand. And if you choose the right to go to trial because a situation or charges have been brought against someone, would you say it's fair that your choice is based on the fact that you believe in the justice system yourself? I mean, because you're in front of a jury. So would you say that you trust that the jury that you select or selected among the two of you, you believe in this process? Like, do you even believe in this process?
So I'm so sorry, Ms. Harris, and I understand your question and the importance of your question, but the law says that he's only allowed to ask questions of you.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem.
I'll try to put in a question.
John Barker, juror 356. The people that I've worked with in the past, in my industry, there's a lot of ex-felons in that. To my understanding, is that the prosecution, the DA or that, might make you an offer, like you get, if you plead guilty, you get 20 years, but if you go to trial, you might be exonerated by the jury, or you might actually get more than 20 years. So it's kind of like a let's make a deal type of thing, where you have curtain number 1, 2, or 3. So is it fair? I mean, that's kind of how the system is to keep the court cases moving, to cut a deal rather than take it to trial. Because it's time consuming for all of us.
Right.
Costs money.
Agree.
Okay.
So, I ask you a question. So, if hypothetically speaking, you had the choice of walking out the door, that's one of your choices, walking out the door. Your other choice is to go to trial. One is, like you brought up, take a deal, walk out the door. The other one is not take a deal and fight for what you believe in is right and put your faith in a jury. Which one would you take? You have a choice to go back to your family, go back to your normal life, or you can, we're in Vegas, you can gamble that you're telling the truth, and that a jury of your peers will find you not guilty.
I think they would both have the same net result. I mean, you either have your freedom going after trial, or you say you can just walk.
So, hypothetically speaking, if you're accused of a crime, hypothetically speaking, say you're accused of burglary, but you know you didn't do it. But there, hypothetically speaking, you got a choice to say, what the hell, plea deal, I'll take it in this. Or do you fight for what you believe in, what you believe in American values, the United States Constitution, to give you a right to a trial? Remember, you go home to dinner tonight, or you remain and fight for what you believe in.
Right, if I was innocent of the burglary accusation, I wouldn't take a deal. I'd go to trial.
I love your answer. I love it. I love it when people fight.
Okay, Mr. Davis, we don't need commentary, all right? I need you to just move along and ask the question, please.
Okay. Do you think that both parties should be able to have their witnesses come to court? Each party should be able to have their witnesses come to court? Or do you think one party should try to stop certain witnesses from coming to court? Do you think that's fair?
Jackie Landy, 382. I think you both have a right to bring witnesses forward, and that's just an important part of the process.
So, Jackie, so if you think one side was trying to stop witnesses from coming, they don't want the jury to hear them. You think that would be fair?
No, I do not.
So, you feel that in court, at a trial, that all witnesses on both sides should be heard?
Yeah, it's someone's life and stakes are high, so I think that all evidence should be presented to witnesses or whatnot. Unless it's inadmissible.
Anybody else got an opinion on that? This is a very good point. I would like to hear somebody else's opinion on this. Thank you, Jack.
Steve Cole, 369. Witnesses to the crime, absolutely everybody should be heard. Character witnesses, you got to draw the line at some point.
I love it. Great answer. So, wait, back up, Steve.
No, you don't boss my martial
Oh, I'm not on.
When you say
No,
back
said
up-
had a question.
Oh, okay. Officer Kelly.
I forgot the question.
Do you think both parties should be allowed to bring witnesses to the facts of the case?
Yes, but both sides, the law says that both sides could bring witnesses. So you can't stop her witnesses, and she can't stop your witnesses. So they both will be heard.
Do you believe that, Vincent?
Yeah. Well, I would have got out of this a long time ago. Yes, the law.
So you believe that's the law?
Yes. You make a list of witnesses, she makes a list of witnesses, she give you her list, you give her your list, and they both get heard. Then it's up to us whether we believe
Which witnesses?
whoever your witnesses is, whoever her witnesses is, you get to hear them.
Thank you.
She can't stop yours and you can't stop hers.
Would you, thank you, Officer Kelly. Sorry, Officer Kelly, I didn't see that. No, it's.
Oh.
I didn't have, spoke already.
Might be the last person to answer before Vince.
I had said something, but.
No, oh yeah, you were.
I got the mic from him.
All right, thanks, Officer Kelly. This guy's a great guy, I love it. Do you think police testimony is very important? Do you give more merit to a police officer's testimony than a civilian? Anybody answer that?
Record should show no response.
No more questions, sir. Thank you guys all. Thank you.
Mr. Davis, do you pass the panel
Yes.
for cause?
Yes.
Thank going to be doing is you will see a list being passed back and forth between the tables. This is when the actual jury selection is occurring. So please stay where you are seated because they need to see the seats that you're in. And feel free to talk with one another if you wouldn't mind just doing a little bit low so you can concentrate. And as soon as we're done, we'll have our jury picked. And those of you lucky enough to be selected will stay where you are. And those of you sad that you won't be remaining will get to leave. All right? So just sit tight for a moment. Sure, just 1 second.